wiped the grease from his hands and stared at the broken cooling valve. The runner was old, and something always needed fixing. He had been working as an engineer on this cargo ship for 3 years now, moving supplies between human colonies and alien trading posts. It wasn't exciting work, but it paid well enough. "Get up here," Captain Park's voice crackled through his communicator. "We've got a situation." He climbed the ladder to the bridge, his boots clanging on the metal steps. Through the main viewport he saw something unusual. A small alien ship drifted in space, sparks flying from its damaged hull. 3 pirate vessels circled it like sharks. "Should we help them?" asked their pilot. He looked nervous. Captain Park shook her head. "Not our problem. We're just a cargo ship. We don't have weapons to fight pirates." But noticed something on the scanner. "Captain, that's a ship. I've read about them. They're an ancient species from the galactic core, very powerful. If we help them, maybe they'll reward us." "Or maybe the pirates will kill us," said, but she was already thinking, "How badly damaged is that ship?" Studied the readings. "Very bad. Their engines are dead. Life support is failing. Whoever is inside won't last another hour." The pirates hadn't noticed the runner yet. They were too busy trying to break through the ship's shields. Made a decision. "Fine, we'll send out our repair drones. Make it quick." Ran back to the engineering bay and activated their small fleet of repair drones. His fingers flew across the controls, guiding the tiny robots toward the damaged alien vessel. The drones attached to the hull and began welding broken sections, rerouting power and patching holes. One of the pirate ships noticed them. It turned and fired a warning shot that passed close to the runner. "They see us," shouted. "Keep working," ordered. "I'm sending a distress call on all frequencies. Maybe someone will respond." His hands were sweating, but he focused on the repairs. The ship's engines sputtered to life. Lights flickered on inside. Just as the pirate ship began moving toward them, a massive warp signature appeared on the scanners. 6 large warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. They were beautiful and terrifying, covered in glowing symbols. The pirates took one look at them and fled at maximum speed. The warships surrounded their damaged sister ship. One of them sent a message to the runner. The translator struggled with the ancient language, but the meaning was clear. "Stand by. Do not leave." Looked worried. What have we gotten ourselves into? 20 minutes later, a small shuttle left one of the warships and docked with the runner. The airlock opened, and 4 warriors entered. They were tall, with blue-gray skin and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern on their faces. They wore armor that seemed to be made of living metal. Behind them came someone different. She was taller than the warriors, and she wore robes that shimmered like starlight. A thin crown of silver metal rested on her head. Her 4 eyes glowed softly. "I am Queen," she said through a translator device. Her voice was musical and strange. "You saved my life. Why?" Stepped forward. It was the right thing to do. Anyone would have helped. The Queen's eyes focused on the captain and felt uncomfortable, like she was being read like a book. "No," the Queen said softly. "Not anyone. Many would have fled. Many would have ignored my ship. But you chose differently." She looked past at the crew. Her gaze stopped on you. "You controlled the repair drones." Nodded, suddenly nervous. "Yes, Your Majesty, I'm the engineer." "I was injured when the pirates attacked," the Queen said. "My ship's medical system failed. I was dying when your drones began repairs. You restored power to my life support with only minutes to spare." "I didn't know you were injured," admitted. "I just saw the readings and knew someone needed help." The Queen studied him for a long moment. Then she gestured to one of her warriors, who brought forward a small container. Inside was something that made his breath catch. It was a sphere, no bigger than his fist, made of crystal that pulsed with inner light. Colors swirled inside it like tiny galaxies. "This is for you," Queen said, taking the sphere and holding it out too. "A gift for your kindness. for the help you gave when you expected nothing in return. Looked at Captain Park, who nodded. He carefully took the sphere. It was warm to the touch and felt strangely alive. "What does it do?" he asked. The Queen's expression was unreadable. "It will reveal its purpose when you need it most. Keep it safe, keep it close, and remember this day of Earth." Before he could ask more questions, the Queen and her warriors returned to their shuttle. The fleet stayed long enough to fully repair the damaged ship. Then they all vanished into faster-than-light travel, leaving the runner alone in space. "Well," said after a long silence, "that was interesting. What do you think that thing does?" Held up the sphere, watching the lights swirl inside. "I have no idea. Maybe it's just decorative, a fancy paperweight." "The Queen personally gave it to you," said. "She was their security officer and rarely spoke, so everyone listened when she did. That means it's important. You should be careful with it." Nodded and took the sphere to his small quarters. He set it on the shelf next to his bunk, where it cast dancing lights on the walls. It was beautiful, but he couldn't imagine what purpose it might serve. The Queen's words echoed in his mind. "It will reveal its purpose when you need it most." He shrugged and went back to work. The cooling valve still needed fixing, and they had a delivery schedule to keep. Life returned to normal. The sphere sat on his shelf, glowing softly, waiting. Had no way of knowing that in 3 months his entire life would change. He had no way of knowing that the galaxy would soon need him desperately. And he certainly had no way of knowing that the gift from Queen was not a simple object at all, but something far more powerful than he could possibly imagine. For now, he was just an engineer on a cargo ship, doing his job and trying to get by. The sphere watched him with its swirling lights, patient and silent, keeping its secrets. 3 months passed quickly. Had almost forgotten about the sphere. It sat on his shelf, glowing softly, and he had grown so used to it that he barely noticed it anymore. The runner continued its regular routes, carrying supplies and avoiding trouble. Then everything changed. It started with emergency broadcasts on every frequency. The hegemony, a powerful military empire from the outer spiral, had launched attacks on the frontier colonies. At first, didn't worry too much. Wars happened in space, but they rarely affected cargo ships. But this war was different. "You need to see this," called him to the bridge. Her face was pale. The screen showed footage from a colony called New. Thousands of people walked in straight lines through the streets. Their faces were blank, their eyes empty. They moved in perfect synchronization like robots. Children, adults, elderly people, all of them marching together without expression or will. "What's wrong with them?" asked horrified. A coalition military officer appeared on the screen. "They have deployed a new weapon. They call it a neural suppressor. It shuts down higher brain functions and turns people into mindless drones. 20 colonies have fallen in the past week. Billions of sentient beings are now under control." Felt cold. His younger sister lived on New with her 5-year-old daughter. "Can we contact New?" he asked. Tried every communication channel. Nothing worked. New had gone dark 3 days ago. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. He couldn't accept it. "Take us there, please. I need to know if my family is okay." The crew voted and agreed. They changed course toward New even though it was dangerous. When they arrived at the system's worst fears came true. Warships orbited the planet. The colony was occupied. Through their long-range scanners, they observed the colony's main settlement. Used the observation scope to look at the streets below. His hands trembled as he adjusted the zoom. There in the central plaza he saw her, walked in a straight line with hundreds of others. She carried in her arms. Both of them had the same blank expression, the same empty eyes. "No," whispered, "no, no, no." He watched for hours, hopping to see some sign that they were okay, that it wasn't real. But and just kept walking in patterns, over and over, controlled by the suppressors. "We should leave," said gently. before the ships notice us. We can't just abandon them, shouted. What can we do? Asked. We're just a cargo ship. We don't have weapons. We don't have an army. The entire coalition military is losing against these suppressors. Put her hand on shoulder. I'm sorry, but he's right. If we stay, we'll just get captured too. Knew they were right, but he couldn't move. He stared at the screen showing his sister and niece, trapped in their own minds, and felt completely helpless. Finally, he nodded and walked back to his quarters. He sat on his bunk in the dark, his head in his hands. More news came through the ship's communication system. The neural suppressors worked on almost every known species. They were unstoppable. Entire sectors were falling. The coalition was in chaos. Looked up at the sphere on his shelf. It pulsed with light, brighter than usual, as if responding to his emotions. For the first time since receiving it, he picked it up and held it in both hands. "What good are you?" he whispered to it. "A pretty light, that's all you are. I need power. I need the ability to save my family. I need." The sphere suddenly blazed with brilliant light. Tried to drop it, but it stuck to his hands. The crystal surface began to dissolve, turning into liquid light that flowed over his skin. He screamed and fell to the floor. Pain exploded through his entire body. The light poured into him through his hands, his arms, spreading through his chest and into his head. His mind filled with images and knowledge that weren't his own. He saw the Queen looking at him. He saw human DNA spiraling and changing. He saw something inside himself waking up, something that had been sleeping for his entire life. The door to his quarters burst open, and ran in and found him convulsing on the floor, glowing from the inside. "Get medical supplies," shouted. But before could move, the light faded, stopped shaking and lay still. His eyes were closed and his breathing was shallow. "Can you hear me?" Knelt beside him. His eyes opened. They glowed faintly for a moment, then returned to normal. "I can hear you," he said. His voice sounded different, stronger. "I can hear everything." "What happened? What was that light?" asked. Sat up slowly. He looked at his hands, flexing his fingers. "The gift. It wasn't an object, it was locked potential. The Queen gave me a key to unlock something inside me, inside all humans." "You're not making sense," said. He stood up and closed his eyes. When he opened them, he looked directly at. "You're afraid. You think we're going to die in this war. You're also feeling guilty because you want to run away and save the ship, but you know I want to save my family." Stepped back, shocked. "How did you know that?" "I can feel it. I can sense the neural patterns of living things around me. It's like a new sense I never had before." Looked at his hands again. "The Queen told me the gift would reveal its purpose when I needed it most. I needed power to save, and now I have it." "What kind of power?" asked. Thought about what he had learned during the transformation. The knowledge was still settling into his mind, but some things were clear. Humans have dormant abilities, psionic potential. We never developed it because we focused on technology instead, but it's there in our DNA waiting. "You're saying you have psychic powers now," had entered the room and was listening. "Not exactly psychic like in old stories. It's more about understanding and interacting with neural fields, the electrical patterns that make up consciousness, and more importantly," eyes brightened with hope, "I think I can protect minds from external interference. I think I can shield people from the suppressors." The room went silent, stared at him. "Are you sure?" "I need to test it," admitted. "But yes, the knowledge the sphere gave me is clear. This is what the Queen intended. This is why she gave me the gift." "They have already conquered dozens of worlds," said. "Even if you can protect people, you're just one person." Nodded slowly. "I know, but I have to try. I have to save, and if I can do that, maybe I can help others too." Looked at her crew, then back at. She made a decision. "All right, we'll help you, but we need a plan. We can't just fly down there and hope for the best." For the first time in days, smiled. The sphere's light was gone, but he could feel its gift burning inside him, waiting to be used. He didn't fully understand his new abilities yet, but he would learn. He had to. His family needed him, and maybe, just maybe, the galaxy needed him too. Spent 2 days learning to control his new abilities. It wasn't easy. Every time he tried to sense the neural fields around him, he got overwhelmed by too much information. He could feel worry, fear, determination. Their emotions crashed into him like waves. Focus on one person at a time, he told himself. Slowly, he learned to filter the information. He practiced on the crew, sensing their thoughts and feelings, learning to control the flow. And most importantly, he learned to create a protective shield around their minds. "Okay, I'm ready to test it," he said on the third day. They had been scanning nearby space with their suppressor probes. These small devices sent out neural waves to detect and control any mines in the area. One probe was heading toward the runner. "It'll reach us in 5 minutes," said nervously. Stood in the center of the bridge and closed his eyes. He extended his awareness to each crew member, and 2 cargo workers named Minu and 6 people total. He wrapped a protective field around each of their minds, creating a barrier that the suppressor couldn't penetrate. The probe reached them, felt the suppressor wave hit his shield like a hammer. Pain shot through his head, but he held firm. The wave tried to force its way through to reach the crew's minds and shut them down, but shield held. After 30 seconds, the probe moved on, satisfied that no minds were present. Collapsed into a chair, sweating and exhausted. "It works. I can block the suppressors." "But you look terrible," said. "Can you do that for long periods?" "I don't know. The more people I protect, the harder it is. 6 people nearly killed me just now." He looked at the screen showing new below. "There are millions of people on that colony." "You can't save them all at once," said, "but maybe you can save some." They formed a plan. Would go down to the colony surface with End. They would avoid patrols and reach the central plaza where had been seen. Would try to free her and a small group of others, then they would escape. It was risky and probably impossible, but they had to try. The next night, they took a small shuttle down to New. His new abilities helped them avoid detection. He could sense the guards' neural patterns from far away, allowing the team to hide before the guards arrived. The colony was quiet and eerie. Controlled humans walked in patterns through the streets, following invisible commands. Felt sick watching them. These were his people, trapped in their own bodies. There, pointed, the central plaza was ahead. Spotted immediately. She stood with a group of about 50 people, all of them waiting for their next command. Little sat at her mother's feet, staring at nothing. "Can you free her?" whispered. Reached out with his mind, feeling for the suppressor connection controlling. It was like a thick cable of energy running from a tower in the distance to her brain. He grabbed it mentally and pulled. The connection resisted, fighting him. He pulled harder, sweat ran down his face. The connection stretched, weakened, and finally snapped. Gasped and fell to her knees. Her eyes cleared, showing confusion and fear. She looked around wildly, not understanding where she was or what had happened. Ran to her. "It's me, you're safe now." She stared at him, tears starting to flow. "What's happening? Where's?" "She's right here. Let me free her too." Turned to the little girl and broke her suppressor connection as well. Blinked and looked up at her mother. "Mommy, I had a bad dream." Grabbed her daughter and held her tight, crying. "It's okay, baby, it's okay." But alarms started blaring across the colony. They had detected the broken connections. Guards would arrive soon. "We need to move," said, pulling out her weapon. "Wait," said. He looked at the other 48 people in the plaza. "I can't just leave them." "You don't have the strength to free them all," said through the communicator. "You nearly passed out freeing just 2 people." Knew she was right, but he couldn't abandon these people. He made a decision. He reached out to the closest 10 people and began breaking their connections. Pain exploded in his head, but he pushed through. One by one, they woke up, confused and scared. "Run," he shouted at them. "Hide, they are coming." Some of them ran. Others stood frozen in shock. Managed to free 5 more people before his vision started to go black. He had freed 17 people total, and it had nearly destroyed him. "That's enough," grabbed his arm. "We're leaving now." Helped support as they ran toward their shuttle. Behind them, guards entered the plaza and saw the freed humans scattering. They opened fire, but most of the freed people had already hidden in buildings. Carried and ran beside. "What did they do to us?" she asked as they ran. "They controlled your minds," gasped, still weak from the effort. "Made you into slaves, but I can free people. I can fight them." They reached the shuttle and took off just as more ships arrived. Flew through the colony's canyons, dodging laser fire. Used his abilities to sense where the enemy ships were, guiding through the safest path. They made it back to the runner and immediately jumped to faster-than-light travel, escaping the system. In the medical bay, lay on a bed, exhausted but alive. Sat beside him, holding. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for saving us." "I'm sorry I couldn't save everyone," said. "You saved us, that's what matters." She looked at him carefully. "But how did you do it? What happened to you?" He told her about the Queen's gift, about the sphere and the transformation. As he spoke, entered the room with news. "I contacted the coalition military," she said. "They want to talk to you. Word is spreading that someone freed people from the suppressors on Nu. They want to know how you did it." Sat up slowly. "What should I tell them?" "The truth," said. "Because if you can teach others to do what you do, we might have a chance against the—" A communication screen activated and appeared. Recognized the species immediately. This one was different from the Queen. He wore scholar's robes instead of royal garments. "I am advisor to Queen," they said. "We have been watching you of Earth. The Queen wishes me to tell you that your transformation is just the beginning." "The beginning of what?" asked. "The awakening of humanity," said. "The gift the Queen gave you was designed to unlock dormant potential in your species. You are the first, but you will not be the last. Already, some humans near you are beginning to show signs of developing similar abilities." Looked at his sister, then at his crew. "Are you saying others can learn to do this?" "With your help, yes. The neural patterns you are generating are affecting other humans around you. You are teaching their DNA to wake up just as the Queen's gift taught yours." Leaned forward. "They believe their suppressors are unbeatable. They don't know about you. That is your advantage. Use it wisely." The screen went dark. Looked at the people around him, his family, his friends, his crew. They were all looking at him with hope in their eyes. He was just one person, but maybe one person could make a difference. Maybe one person could start something bigger. "Okay," he said quietly. "Let's figure out how to fight back." The coalition gave and his crew a secret base on a moon called. It was far from territory, hidden behind an asteroid field. Here, could train without being discovered. At first, it was just him and the 17 people he had freed from Nu. Was among them, and she became his first student. She wanted to learn, wanted to fight back against what had been done to her and— "Close your eyes," instructed her. "Feel for the energy inside you. It's like a warm light in your chest." Sat cross-legged on the floor, breathing slowly. Days passed with no progress. Then, one morning, she opened her eyes with excitement. "I felt it, just for a second, but it was there." Smiled. "Good, that's the first step." Over the next 3 weeks, learned to sense the neural fields of people around her. She couldn't create shields like could yet, but she could feel minds and emotions. The other freed colonists were learning too, at different speeds. Visited regularly, bringing knowledge from the Empire. He explained things that discovered through instinct. "Your species evolved to be tool users," said during one lesson. "You built technology instead of developing mental abilities, but the potential was always there, buried in your DNA. What Queen gave you was a catalyst, a way to activate what was sleeping." Why did she give it to me? Asked. Because you showed kindness without expecting reward. The Queen believes that humans with awakened abilities must have good hearts, or they will become as dangerous as the four eyes studied carefully. She chose well. Word of abilities spread through the coalition. More freed humans came too. Some had been rescued by coalition raids, others had escaped on their own. By the second month was training 50 people. By the third month, 200. Not everyone could learn. Some humans simply didn't have the ability to awaken their potential. But about 1 in every 5 people showed some level of talent, and those who could learn became fierce fighters. Proved to be exceptional. She learned to create mental shields almost as strong as she could protect 20 people at once without collapsing from exhaustion. You're a natural, told her after a particularly good training session. She smiled, but her eyes were hard. I remember what it felt like to be controlled, to watch myself carry around like a puppet while screaming inside my own mind. I'll never let that happen again, and I'll save as many people as I can from that nightmare. Understood, anger could be a powerful teacher. The coalition military watched the training with growing hope. They sent observers who couldn't believe what they saw. Humans creating shields with their minds, sensing enemies from far away, even pushing back against suppressor probes. We need to use this, said Commander, the coalition officer assigned to base. They are still advancing. We're losing colonies every week. Stood before a holographic map of the frontier. Red dots marked controlled territories. There were so many. We're not ready for a major battle. We need more time. We don't have more time, said. They are planning something big. Our intelligence suggests they're building a massive suppressor array on Nu. If they finish it, they'll be able to control the minds of everyone in 3 entire sectors. Looked at the map at Nu glowing red. His home colony, where had been born, where thousands of humans still walked as mindless slaves. How long until the array is complete? He asked. 2 months, maybe less. Called a meeting with his best students, Minyu, and 15 others who had mastered mental shielding. They gathered in the training hall and looked at the same map. They think they're safe, said. They think their suppressors can't be beaten. We're going to prove them wrong. He outlined a plan. It was dangerous and required perfect timing. They would coordinate with coalition forces to launch attacks on 3 held colonies simultaneously, while they focused on those battles and his team would infiltrate Nu. Our goal isn't just to free people, explained. We need to capture the suppressor technology intact. The coalition scientists need to study it to understand how it works. If we can figure out how to block it with technology instead of just mental power, we can protect billions. The command carrier is in orbit around Nu, said. She had been studying the intelligence reports. That's where the master suppressor controls are. We'd need to board that ship. Then that's what we'll do, said. Stepped forward. I'm going with you, don't try to stop me. He didn't, he knew she needed this. Over the next 4 weeks, they trained specifically for the mission. Worked with each team member individually, strengthening their abilities. Brought training methods that helped them push past their limits. Discovered he could extend his protective field to cover hundreds of people at once, though it required intense concentration. Learned to break suppressor connections from a distance. Minyu developed the ability to sense mechanical systems, making him valuable for navigating the ship. The coalition gathered its forces. 3 battle groups prepared to attack colonies. Meanwhile, assembled a strike team of 20 trained humans and a small support crew. The night before the mission, couldn't sleep. He stood on the observation deck looking at the stars, found him there. Nervous, she asked. Terrified, he admitted. What if I fail? What if I get everyone killed? You've already changed everything, said. 3 months ago the coalition was losing. Now we have hope, you gave us that. The Queen gave me power, said. I just used it. No, the Queen gave you a tool. You're the one who chose to help others instead of just saving yourself and your family. You're the one who spent months teaching people how to fight back. Put her hand on his shoulder. You're not just powerful, you're a good person. That's why people follow you. He looked at her and saw the trust in her eyes. The same trust he saw in his students, in everyone who had learned from him. They believed he could win this fight. Tomorrow we take back New, he said quietly. Tomorrow we show that humans don't stay down, agreed. The next morning, the coalition battle groups jumped to faster-than-light travel and attacked their targets. Forces scrambled to respond, pulling ships from New to reinforce the fighting. His team moved in, their small ships hidden among the chaos. They slipped past the reduced defenses and entered New's atmosphere. The real battle was about to begin. As they flew over the colony, looked down at the millions of people still trapped by the suppressors. He felt their minds, all those dormant consciousnesses waiting to be freed. He thought about the Queen's words when she gave him the gift. It will reveal its purpose when you need it most. He understood now. The gift wasn't just about saving his family. It was about saving everyone. It was about showing humanity what they could become. All teams this is, he said over the communicator. Remember your training, trust your abilities, and let's bring our people home. The ships dove toward the colony surface, toward the forces, toward the impossible mission that would change the war. The attack began at dawn. 2,000 freed humans, trained by over 3 months, struck at targets across New. They moved in small groups, using their abilities to avoid detection. Each group had one person who could break suppressor connections, freeing colonists as they advanced. Led the main assault on the command carrier in orbit. His team of 20 boarded a captured shuttle and flew straight toward the massive warship. Alarms blared as they detected unusual activity across the colony, but they didn't understand what was happening yet. "Shields up," commanded. Each team member activated their mental protection, creating barriers around their minds. The command carrier's automated defenses scanned them, and finding no controllable minds, registered them as machinery. They docked and entered the ship. Minyu used his mechanical sensing to guide them through the corridors, avoiding patrols. Took point with her weapon ready. Stayed close to, her mental shield strong and steady. "The suppressor control room is 3 levels up," Minyu said, reading the ship systems through his mind. They fought their way through the ship. They were confused. Their neural suppressors didn't work on these attackers. Some troops fell back in fear. Others fought harder, realizing they faced something new and dangerous. Sensed a massive presence ahead. "Wait, something's wrong." A door opened and the War Prince emerged. He was huge, covered in armor made of black metal. His species had 3 eyes and natural armor plating. He looked at with cold intelligence. "So you're the anomaly," said in perfect human language. "The one who can resist our suppressors. Interesting." "Let these people go," said. "You've lost. We can fight your technology now." Laughed. "You freed a few thousand out of billions. You think that matters. You're just one human with a trick. Once I kill you, this resistance ends." "I'm not alone," said, and the others stood beside him, their minds linked and strong. "Then I'll kill you all," said, raising a massive weapon. The battle was brief but intense. Was a skilled warrior, but his team worked together perfectly. While and others kept him busy with weapons fire, reached out with his mind and touched the War Prince's thoughts. Even minds had patterns. Even they could be affected. Didn't try to control, that would have been no better than what they did to others. Instead, he created a mental noise, a confusion that disrupted his concentration. The War Prince stumbled, his aim faltering. Shot hit him in the shoulder, cracking his armor. Used her abilities to locate his ship's self-defense systems and shut them down. Minyu hacked the door controls, trapping reinforcements outside. "Enough," shouted. "Surrender and we'll spare your crew." stared at him with hatred but also with newfound respect. "What are you?" "Human," said simply, "just human." But at that moment activated something in his armor. Felt it immediately, a pulse of energy that spread across the entire planet. The planetary suppressor, the one they had come to stop, was activating at full power. "If I can't control you, I'll control everyone else," said with a cruel smile. 4 million minds on this planet will become mine. Felt the wave building. It was massive, far stronger than any suppressor pulse he'd faced before. It would reach every mind on Nu within seconds, including the 2,000 resistance fighters they'd freed. All their work would be undone. "No," screamed. Made a decision. He closed his eyes and reached out with everything he had. His consciousness expanded, spreading across the colony like a net. He touched every human mind on the planet, 4 million people, all of them. He felt their fear, their confusion, their desperate hope. And he wrapped them all in his protection. The effort was beyond anything he'd attempted before. It felt like holding up a mountain with his bare hands. Blood ran from his nose. His body shook with the strain, but he held on. The suppressor wave crashed against his planetary shield and broke apart like water against a rock. 4 million people gasped as they felt the attempted attack fail. The resistance fighters cheered. The controlled colonists felt a moment of clarity through his protection, a glimpse of freedom they hadn't known in months. But was dying. The effort was too much for one person. His heart was beating too fast. His brain was overloading. He couldn't hold the shield much longer. Grabbed him as he fell. "Let go, you'll kill yourself." "Can't," he gasped. "If I drop the shield, they'll all be taken again." Then something amazing happened. Added her strength to his, wrapping her shield around his to help support it. Minu joined. Then all 20 team members. And across the planet, something even more incredible occurred. The 2,000 freed fighters that had trained all felt his struggle. They didn't have his power, but they had the potential he'd awakened in them. Together, they added their strength to his shield. 2,000 minds supporting one. The shield stabilized. His body stopped shaking. He could breathe again. Stared in disbelief. Impossible. No single being could do this. "I'm not single," said, standing up with help. "I'm connected to everyone fighting for their freedom, and together we're stronger than your suppressors." The War Prince realized he had lost. His ultimate weapon had failed. His team secured the control room and captured the suppressor technology intact. Coalition scientists could now study it and develop technological defenses. The battle across Nu turned in humanity's favor. With S.H.I.E.L.D. protecting them, the freed fighters liberated district after district. The forces, unable to use their primary weapon, began to retreat. By sunset, Nu was free. Collapsed in the medical bay of the Coalition flagship that arrived after the battle. He woke 3 days later to find Queen herself sitting beside his bed. "You have done well," she said softly. "Why did you give me the gift?" asked. "Why me?" "Because you had a good heart and asked for nothing in return, because humanity needed a first step toward their potential, and because I believed you would not use power for selfish gain." She smiled with her 4 eyes. "I was right. Other humans are developing abilities," said. "I can feel it, even people I've never met. Yes, your awakening has sent ripples through human genetic memory across the galaxy. It will take generations, but eventually, all humans will have the choice to develop these abilities." The Queen stood to leave. "You were not given power. You were given permission to unlock what was always yours." After she left, entered with, the little girl ran to his bed and hugged him carefully. "Thank you for saving Mommy and me," said. Hugged her back, tears in his eyes. "You're welcome, little one." Brought news that made him smile. The Coalition had successfully replicated the mental shields using technology based on human neural patterns. They could now mass-produce devices that protected people from suppressors. The tide of the war was turning. More news followed over the next weeks. Humans across the galaxy were reporting unusual abilities. Some could sense emotions. Others could create small shields. A few showed talents even didn't have. The awakening was spreading. The hegemony, faced with an enemy they couldn't control, began peace negotiations. They had never encountered a species that could resist their suppressors. They didn't know how to fight an enemy that grew stronger every day. 6 months after the Battle of Nu received a message from Earth. The human wanted him to return. Thousands of people were manifesting abilities, and they needed guidance. They needed someone who understood what was happening. Stood in his quarters on base, looking at the stars, joined him. "Are you going?" she asked. "Yes, Earth needs help understanding this change, and I'm the first awakened. It's my responsibility." "What about us, the people you've trained?" Smiled. "You don't need me anymore. You're all strong enough to teach others now. You're one of the best. You'll continue the work here while I help on Earth." She nodded, accepting the responsibility. "What do you think will happen to humanity?" "I don't know, but for the first time in our history we have a choice. We can develop our minds as well as our technology. We can become something new." He looked at his hands, remembering when they first glowed with the gift's light. "The Queen gave me permission to change, but the change was always possible. We just needed someone to go first." Years later, historians would mark this as the turning point for humanity. The moment when humans stopped being just tool users and became something more. Children born after the awakening showed natural abilities. Schools taught mental exercises alongside mathematics. Humanity expanded into the galaxy not just with ships and weapons, but with minds that could reach across space itself. And it all started with one engineer on a cargo ship who showed kindness to a stranger and received a mysterious gift he didn't understand. A gift that revealed its true purpose when he needed it most, not just to save his family, but to save his entire species and show them what they could become. Looked at the stars one last time before leaving for Earth. Somewhere out there, Queen was watching. He sent a thought of gratitude across the void, and somehow he felt her smile in return. The gift had been given, the gift had been used, and humanity's future had changed forever.